So you want to grow your own food, do you? Well, good, because that's what you should do. Growing your own food is one of the most practical things that you can do. I mean, you're watching this video for a variety of reasons, but probably because you realize that our current systems aren't getting us to where we want to go. And the only way to change a system is to not be dependent upon it. So start creating your own resources as quickly as possible. I'm going to show you today how to do it in the soil, and I want to see you guys posting all your comments and pictures and videos on what you're doing to your garden after you watch this. All right, everything I'm going to mention today is all of really good value. So it's not really necessarily in order, but you could take it in order. For instance, you may want to start with water and this and that, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, start with your companion plants and your support species. I know, it's like, what? But yes, when you do that, what you are doing immediately is you are attracting the very beneficial insects that will come in and help keep your garden like pest resistant. I love kale and so does cabbage looper, but what loves the cabbage looper is predatory wasps. So you want to attract those guys and other guys such as the ladybugs and lacewings as fast as possible. So get those companion plants and support species in the ground as fast as possible. Now, here's something most people don't think that much about: access. And with access is efficiency. We just want to get in and put as much food in as possible, which is not a bad thing. But if you can't get to that food, or if you got to trample over your garden, this may not be the best option for you. So you want to take your time and possibly design out very efficient access to your garden. The more you do this, the less work actually comes of it. If you're looking at a straight garden row and you're getting up and down and up and down and up and down, who wants to do that? Design it efficiently where you're only going into a few places and you're able to harvest the majority of your food that you have patiently worked on that whole time. The next thing you need is kind of twofold. Now, I've been to a lot of places all over the globe, and I haven't seen a more efficient garden bed than the sheet mulch garden. Well, at least that's when we're talking about inputs to outputs. A sheet mulch garden bed is like layer after layer after layer after layer of different, somewhat nitrogen rich and carbon rich material that mimics the forest floor. You want to have your garden beds that are created in the soil to be very, very friable and tilthy. So in order to do that, the organic matter has to be there. So part of that sheet mulch gardening is on top. The soil is definitely covered. So mulches and covering by using the sheet mulch garden is very efficient for you. So make sure you mulch it, make sure you cover it, and I really recommend that sheet mulch garden method because from inputs to outputs, you get the most bang for your buck. You can even make one for free. If you are brand spanking new to growing your own food, don't worry. I wanted to give you a couple bits of advice. The first one is make mistakes. Now, I know you're probably like, well, wait a minute, I want somebody to give me all the answers. Look, nobody has all the answers. Go experiment. It's just a garden. You can't really jack it up. Go in, just start putting stuff in the ground. That's the first thing I want to tell you. You also need to know what does grow in your region. There's a variety of things you can do. Anywhere in the world, you could go to local plant nurseries or find people who are already growing food and say, hey, like, what grows here? And then see where that matches with your taste buds. And, you know, even things that you didn't know you liked, you could like just by knowing how to cook them very well. If you're in the United States, you can go to like almanac.com, and they got a planting calendar that even emails you updates on what needs to go in when and what needs to harvest when, all for your region. It's like zip code specific. Check that out, it's pretty cool. And also ask people around, and especially do experiment and make lots of mistakes. Okay, so the next few take a little bit more time. You want to get as many plants as you can, started as soon as you can, so you can put them in the ground when the climate and the weather is favorable. Right now, we're in the middle of fall, and it just dumped like almost 4 inches of rain over the last 24, 36 hours. So right now is definitely planting time. But if I don't have plants to put in, and I'm only starting from seed right now, I'm missing a good portion of fall growing weather that I could be utilizing. So I want to have an area in my garden, it doesn't have to be big, but it does need to be substantial, where we can start plants. And usually that's called the plant nursery. So you want to make sure that you are starting those plants right at the end of winter in a place that the nursery can reside, but that's also sheltered from the elements. So having that ready to go and having those plants already in the nursery, so when it is time to plant, is going to give you a lot of confidence in putting a lot of different plants in the ground. Twofold to that, those plants, especially if it's winter time or at the end of winter, are going to need protection. So the other thing that is very beneficial to have is a greenhouse. Now there's many different options. There's one like we have here at our suburban site. There are pop-up ones that you can get from big box stores. And there's literally to-go plastic containers. So if you're at a restaurant or somewhere, or there's a piece of trash somewhere, you can take it, put some seedlings in some pots, put it in there, close it, and you have a tiny little greenhouse. So you want to have that nursery and you want to have that greenhouse to start plants early so you can grow an abundance of food. So we've talked about a lot of things that you're going to need, and fertilization is one of them, but we don't want to go outside and try to get some artificial fertilizer, NPK, and all those different things. We actually want to create our own. So your garden is going to need some place in it that you can do a composting area. Now there's many ways to do it. You can be involved in it. You can have a deep bedding chicken system where all veggie scraps go, or whatever your method is. Just do start creating compost. As a matter of fact, you're not even really growing food. What you're doing is creating compost. And if you put it in that terms, then growing food is a byproduct of your composting. Think that through. La, 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 la. Composting, super important. Now we also want to talk about, obviously the life giver, which is water. Start capturing your own water as soon as you can, in any form that you can. My wife, when she first did her first keyhole garden, they didn't have any gutters on the place she was staying. She put 5-gallon buckets underneath the roof hedge. Boom. She captured water for her garden, rainwater. So we want to capture water from the sky. It's a lot better than the water from the tap because that has chlorine in it, and that ends up killing the life that we're trying to create in the soil with all the sheet mulch and compost. Really, it is about the life, but that's a whole nother set of videos there. So capture as much rainwater as you can. And also with capturing it, you do want to develop a system, and it doesn't have to be at the beginning at first, that you can distribute that water to your garden in times of need. So some type of drip irrigation system, ran off gravity, or solar pumps, or wind generators, whatever it is, that is a crucial element in garden design. It could even just be a watering can too, and that's okay. With all this information, you can start a garden in the soil, and you can have a ton of fun, and you will have a ton of fun. If you just look behind me here, this was nothing but a barely any traffic, overmowed suburban yard. And if you look at it now, it's peaceful. It's a place I want to be. It's a place I enjoy waking up every day, coming out here with the wife and going, man, let's eat some natural food, and our health and our brains are just, a byproduct of amazingness there. Do get educated as well. So go and find some local gardening courses, especially if they're organic, or a permaculture gardening course would be your best, because we're talking, connections, inputs and outputs. That's really the way to go. If you have an opportunity, get a permaculture design course, because gardening, even though it's a whole system in itself, is just one module of the other living systems that you need. So learn as much permaculture as you can, and do take a course from an instructor, because just reading the book will probably not get you as far as you wanted to go. Take my word for it. Y'all go make some mistakes, observe a lot, watch those pests come in, where they lay eggs, how to smush them with your fingers, do all those things that are fun. Have a great time, enjoy the bounty with your family and your friends. Do go over to the neighbor's house and be like, you know, here's some cocoons, or here's a cucumber, or whatever it is, and love it. You guys are amazing. If you want to change a system, you've got to not be dependent upon it. Go learn permaculture. I love you guys, you rock, and I will see you next time.